The more vulnerable the victim, the stronger the social condemnation. This condemnation is amplified when the sentence is weighed by scales in the court of public opinion and found wanting. While animal cruelty cases are investigated regularly, a couple of cases have been in the local news lately. The first involves a St. Catharines man who was recently convicted under the Ontario SPCA Act for permitting dogs to live in unsanitary conditions without proper provisions. The public outrage that followed the conviction wasn't so much in response to the neglect itself, but the sentence passed. The accused received a 5-year ban on ownership of dogs and a $100 fine. People often want to see the most severe punishment possible for any act of neglect involving animals or children, so most sentences will seem insufficient to many. But when the fine is 1/3 of what you would get for parking in a handicap space, people go from 0 to 100 pretty quick. To find more examples, I combed through press releases I'd received over the past year, which are put out by OSPCA headquarters in Newmarket. I will summarize a few convictions, all from 2016. In February, a Perry Sound dog owner was convicted of permitting distress and failing to comply with an order for unsanitary conditions and untreated parasites in puppies. The penalty was a 2-year ownership ban and $410 restitution to the local SPCA. In January, a Sault Ste. Marie dog owner received a $240 fine for permitting a severe eye infection to persist for 2 weeks untreated. In July, a Belleville dog owner was convicted of failing to provide sanitary environments for dogs and rabbits and failure to comply with orders. They received a suspended sentence in exchange for SPCA inspection rights. A suspended sentence means no fine or other penalties. A case we recently had involving a Norfolk man resulted in a 5-year ban, 2 years of probation, and $200 restitution to the SPCA. This was an egregious case of animal cruelty. The charges in this case were Criminal Code charges, not Provincial Act charges. I won't go into detail about this case or offer any personal opinions as a representative of the shelter. On the higher end of the spectrum, in the case history I reviewed, in June a Renfrew owner received a $6,000 fine and a lifetime animal ban when a search warrant was executed and several dogs in need of immediate medical care were seized. The harshest penalty I found in my search of press releases this year was on a case in Manitoulin Island involving horse care, specifically with body weight issues. The owner was convicted and received a $6,000 fine, a 15-year ban on ownership, and interestingly, a 30-day jail sentence. Incarceration is uncommon, and this person had a previous criminal conviction for animal cruelty, which likely prompted this more severe sentence. On the non-cruelty related side, just here in Welland, we've had 2 cases of a false complaint being made. One accused received a $150 fine, while the other got over $1,000. So why the disparity in sentencing? The short answer may be aggravating factors. In the second case, the defendant also had numerous pizzas delivered to the victim's house. This also happened shortly after a well-publicized swatting incident at the Seaway Mall, so the dangers of abusing law enforcement resources for personal amusement or malice were front and center in the public consciousness. The second current case making local news lately involves a Dunnville couple charged in connection with an emaciated young dog. This case is now before the courts, and these things do take time. There are howls from the public to release the names of the accused. It's usually likened to how local police will publish the names of those charged with drunk driving as a way of shaming them, so why not do the same with animal cruelty as well? Personally speaking, I understand where these people are coming from, but I see this as a separation of degree bordering on a false equivalency. While impaired driving is a serious and shameworthy act, that crime doesn't seem to inflame the same passions in people as animal abuse does. If their identities are learned by other means, so be it, but our office is primarily concerned with achieving justice in a court of law. They have to actually make it there first, and there are undoubtedly those who would not think twice at taking the law into their own hands where it doesn't belong. Our system may be imperfect, but right now it's all we have, and as agents of the state, we are bound by the rules of that system. There's a lot more to be said on this, and the philosophy of punishment can fill entire sections of legal libraries, so I'll end with this. All we can do is make our recommendations through the Crown and hope for the best. Tougher maximum penalties don't mean much if you never get close to them. You jump just as high in a room with a 100-foot ceiling as you do in one with a 600-foot ceiling. Ultimately, sentencing rests in the hands of the judiciary. And that's all for this edition of Night Call. If you like what you see, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.